Good morning. So glad to hear you guys all chatting. If I can get you to move to your seats, we're going to open in prayer real quick and get started. I'm going to go ahead and open us up in prayer real quick. Lord Jesus, I thank you for this morning. I thank you for all my friends here, and I thank you for what you're doing in our city. I pray you'd open our hearts and minds. In Jesus' name, amen. So I want to welcome you today to Catalyst, our gathering area for all of the leaders of our city to get together and talk about what's going on in Modesto. I'm so glad to see you all here, and it's always exciting to me to hear the conversation because that's the point of why we come together, to get to know each other and to learn a little bit about what's happening. This morning, we have a couple of great updates, but I wanted to talk really quickly about a couple of things. First of all, if you are new to City Ministry Network, if you're new to Catalyst, if you could go ahead and sign in on this sign-in sheet, let us know who you're here, and also if you're a regular attendee. So just go ahead and stick your name on there, make sure we get your information. We always want to know if there's a way to support you, and this is the best way. We can have your information and connect. So make sure this is on your tables with a pen. And the other thing is, if you can pull out your phones, I know, social media, all that, newfangled stuff people do. If you could pull out your phones and if you could check in on Facebook, let people know you're here, let people know what's happening. I still run into people who are like, what is Catalyst, what is that? Let them know. So you just go onto Facebook, check in at Catalyst, just so people know. If you need to know how to do that, you could come talk to me later, I'll teach you. Okay, I'll come find you. All right, so let me see, make sure I didn't miss anything here. So I'm going to go ahead and you also have, just so you know, you have a flyer on there that tells you what's happening today. You'll also see on the back, there's actually weekly meetings, monthly meetings, all kinds of things that are happening that could be specific to what you do in our city. And it could be a really great way to connect with people who are doing the same kinds of things. And that way we can team up and partner together to get more work done. So take a look at that. Go if you can. Make some time. I wanted to take a minute and introduce Jeanette Fabella. She is from our Housing and Supportive Services Manager in Stan County, and she's going to give us a quick update on how things are going on our county-wide homeless initiative. So please welcome Jeanette.
Thank you, Courtney. I'm definitely grateful for the opportunity to be here and share briefly some of the amazing work that's being undertaken to address homelessness in our community. As Courtney was stating, I'm the Housing and Supportive Services Manager with the Chief Executive Office in Stanislaus County. My role is to lead the homelessness component of focus on prevention. In the last 6 months, we've had large strides in our movement moving forward. We've been able to partner with all the service providers county-wide to come together on an agreement on an assessment tool that will allow us to assess individuals experiencing homelessness into housing based on priority and not on a first-come, first-served basis. We're also aligning all of our resources, coordinating, mapping all of the resources countywide, making sure there's no duplication of work being done countywide. In addition, we've created a multi-sector engagement and outreach team, and basically we have liaison from a number of service providers from Golden Valley Health, United Way, Behavioral Health, the Welfare Department, peer support from the community who are participating with the intent of going out and reaching out, instilling hope, building trust and relationship with individuals experiencing homelessness with the hope of connecting them to services that will end their homelessness. And also very exciting, we have one big project underway that we hope to implement in March of this coming year, which is a one-stop shop where we're going to be able to provide many of the services that really are going to help with eliminating a lot of the barriers that individuals experiencing homelessness have to ending their homelessness, and we're just extremely excited. I know that many of you here have partnered with us already. If you haven't, please visit our website, preventionfocus.net. You can also contact me. I'd love to get you on board and have you as a partner in this very exciting effort in our community. Thank you for your time. I'm just grateful to be a partner with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do is we're going to have you guys stand and talk with somebody that you don't know. So if everybody can stand up, we got to get that caffeine moving so you're awake this morning. Find someone you don't know, and I want you to talk to them. Ask them this question. What are some of the most meaningful family traditions you have during the holiday season?
No excuses for what you're doing. Good morning. Good morning. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. How's that? It's always great to hear all of you talk. I just sit, I'm back there talking too, but man, I just love hearing you all talk. We have the opportunity this morning to just take a few minutes with John Talbert. And John works for Transforming the Bay for Christ, which is a collaborative effort between the public sector, the private sector, and there's one more sector here. Between public, private, I almost had this down. Public, private, and social sectors. And on what addressing together the greatest needs of the Bay Area. And we're concerned about bringing in best practices, about giving you the opportunity to hear from people that are doing what we're trying to do in this area. And that is all of us figure out how to work together, to row together, to walk together for the sake of everyone. And so John is one of those guys that we want to come and bring him in front of you, let him talk a little bit about what they're up to. We can have some best practices we can learn from their failures and their successes, and become better together. Thank you. Let's welcome John Talbert.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hello, Modesto. How are you? Are you all from Modesto? Is everybody here from Modesto, or where are y'all from? Turlock. I don't even know where that is. Ripon. I'm sorry, River what? I thought you said river dance. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that for you. Well, I'm sorry? Water. See, this is part of California I don't even know. This is great.
I've been living there 15 years. I'm not sure where.
All right. So you're not even sure why you're here. You just wandered in. There was food. Good man. Well, it says on that thing I'm going to talk about the CityGENE, and I've pivoted a little bit. So I'm going to change my talk. To a talk that I gave, a TED talk that I gave called Collaboration and the Evolution of the Labradoodle. Because I wanted you guys to see something a little bit different today when I really got a picture of who was in the room. It's not just faith leaders or business leaders or government or nonprofit. It's the collaborative of y'all, if I could use a word they use in whatever city you're from. All y'all. Start with this. I'd like to tell you a story about a man named Wally Cochran. Wally was a dog breeder and a trainer for the Royal Guide Dogs in Victoria, Australia. And in the late 80s, he received a request for a guide dog from a blind woman who was living in Hawaii. And her specifications for the dog were different from all the other dog requests that Wally had received. And the specifics surrounding this dog would be to accommodate the woman who was blind and her husband who was allergic to dogs. And that became the problem that Wally was about to try to solve. Because what he had done, they sent the request for hair and saliva samples from all these dogs, sent it to Hawaii, see if they could just find that combination, and could not find it until Wally had suggested to the his group, his collaborative group there, he said, why don't we cross one of our Labrador Retrievers, there's a picture of one here, Labrador Retrievers, which is the quality of the dog that they look for, loyal, personable, engaging with their owner, and the hypoallergenic qualities found in a regular poodle. There's a poodle here. So in 1988, bred these two dogs in 1988, the first Labradoodles were born, 3 Labradoodle puppies. Has the same response every time I look at that picture. I mean, don't you want to just leave here right now and just go buy one? Yeah, $2,800 later, no. But this is the first Labradoodle puppies that were born. And what happened is they took these puppies, sampled the saliva and the fur, which it's a non-shedding dog, and it became the dog for this couple. And the irony, shortly after this experiment, Wally's story was aired in Melbourne, Australia, and this adorable new breed had this overwhelming demand for the Labradoodle puppy. In fact, the other puppies flunked out of school because you're not supposed to pet a service dog, but how can you not pet that dog, right? I mean, that's just the cutest little dog. So after that, not long after that, new breeds came about with other breeders who began to do the similar type of cross-breeding effect with the poodle's hyperallergenic qualities. The golden retriever and the poodle became the golden doodle. The English bulldog and the poodle became the English boodle. I'm not making this up. Look it up. It's real. I make up a lot of stuff, but not this, okay? The Schnauzer and the poodle became the Schnoodle. The Saint Bernard, yeah, you should look that one. That one's a creepy-looking dog. Saint Bernard and the poodle became the Saint Berdoodle. And my personal favorite, the Shih Tzu and the poodle became the Shizoodle, or as my friend who has one calls it, the Shitty Doodle. So he says he has one, and I said, I have one all over my yard. But the idea of crossbreeding was this common practice that emerged in the evolution of the Labradoodle, was this idea of collaborating the best features of each breed brought to the table and known as the biological designer dog. The brilliance of this designer dog is this, let me just show you on this slide right here, is that it solved a problem and met a need. It required the best characteristics of both parties, and it fueled others with new ideas of creative collaboration, the different kinds of dogs. And it created beauty and artistry along the way. Beauty and artistry. Go back to that previous slide. Beauty and artistry, right? Doesn't that just warm your heart? So the reason I'm giving you such a detailed picture of the designer dog is based on my convictions is this, and just jump down the other two slides, is that collaboration is the single most important underlying quality of building a better city. So whatever your city you're from, wherever you are, you call home, wherever you say, we will have a vested interest in the lane that I'm in, collaboration is the single most underlying quality of building a better city, because we've learned this from dogs. Solves problems to meet needs, brings together the best characteristics of the parties, fuels new and creative ideas, and sets a course of beauty. Within each city, and I work in the Bay Area, there's 256 cities and towns, 9 counties that touch the Bay, and 2 south of that, Santa Cruz and Monterey. And I work with city leaders, and in each city, there's channels of culture or domains that we call business, government, education, the nonprofit, the faith, media, arts and entertainment, that have this contribution to the city. But the brilliance is when a few of these influential channels purposely intersect to collaborate to address the city's greatest need. The ignorance is when one of these channels assumes that they can single-handedly answer and solve the city's problems. Independently, it's one-dimensional and vulnerable. Collaboratively, it's multidimensional and strong. Independently, it's predictable. It often meets the status quo. Oh, that's good. Collaboratively, it's dangerous. It's powerful. It's catalytic. Collaboration is messy, it's chaotic, it takes more time, it's risky. We've seen designer dogs that collaborated that they never should have collaborated them. And sometimes it takes a little bit more time, and it is messy. But the things that come from that, to build a better city, we can't afford to play it safe. We have to do these things. A story that happened in the Bay Area, we were looking at this is back in the mid-2000s, and we were looking at the pandemic of AIDS. And our church, where I was a pastor, was responding globally but doing nothing locally. And I felt the hypocrisy of that, and so I said, we should do something, let's get involved in the local response to the AIDS crisis. And so we got involved, and it took about 80 people to an AIDS walk. I said, wow, it was just, we came back. But to me, I had this dissatisfaction because it didn't seem like enough of a response. It was like a status quo response. And so I said to a bunch of other churches, I said, what if we work together? What if we collaborate collectively to respond to the pandemic locally? And so there was like 15 of our churches that responded and said, we're going to cancel services on Sunday and be involved in the AIDS walk. Then people got their businesses involved, and they joined the team that we were called Team Beautiful Day. And it was, in that year, the largest walking and funding team in the history of the AIDS walk. Why? Because we chose to collaborate and take the best of all of our worlds and bring them together to make a definitive statement. That's what collaboration does. So I wanted to walk you through, and here's what collaboration does. I've got four points that I want you to see. If you want to write them down, that'd be great. You can do whatever you want to do. First one is this. Collaboration redefines rules, roles, and relationships. Collaboration redefines rules, roles, and relationships. If you stick with the same rules, that becomes a prohibitive block. If you want to have the same title and same role, that may stop you from that. And the relationships force you to be in a whole new circle like this. That's what makes this meeting so brilliant, because it branches you out of the relationships that you are typically in. Collaboration redefines rules, roles, and relationships. Next, collaboration opens up the adjacent possible. Collaboration opens up the adjacent possible. What is the adjacent possible? The adjacent possible to me is something that you didn't know existed until you came together and realized you had these pieces. He didn't know he had a labradoodle, he just had a problem. And bringing those two things together opened up a whole new thing. The adjacent possible. You reimagine what could be. You move your thoughts from winning the battle now to winning a war. Third, collaboration. It refocuses the efforts from me to we. It refocuses the efforts from me to we. This becomes, for us in the Bay Area, the number one indicator of what kills collaborative work is when it's focused on the me and not the we. It happens all the time. We see people that aren't willing to make the circle wider. You've got to make the circle wider. You've got to re-engage the sidelined players. You allow fresh voices at the table, and you level the playing field for all parties to participate. It refocuses the effort from me to we. Fourth, collaboration affords all parties to bring their best. And then I put, and let the others cover the rest. Allows all parties to bring their best and let the others cover the rest. Here's the one thing that I've learned about collaboration. I don't have to do everything. I don't have to do everything. In fact, if I try to do everything, what I'm doing is prohibiting somebody else who's way better at something that I'm not good at from doing what they could do. This happens all the time. I think of it this way. My mom, bless her heart, she makes brilliant, fantastic chili. She does. It's great. It's the best chili ever. Her cornbread sucks. Like, her cornbread, we get her cornbread, she's like, you guys want chili and cornbread? We're like, we want chili. Not cornbread. We want chili. Chili sounds great. Because we'd always make chili, and then you use the cornbread for like a hockey puck. Because it was like that. It was that hard, and we broke it. It crumbled. It was terrible. And so when my mom got together with my Aunt Betty, she made fantastic cornbread. She would say, you guys want chili and cornbread? I said, is Aunt Betty coming over? And you put those two together, and all of a sudden you've got a great meal. And my Aunt Lana made a fantastic apple pie. And my Aunt Betty couldn't make an apple pie. She tried to make an apple pie one time. It was a sugar-free apple pie. Who makes sugar-free apple pie? Like, keep your diet to yourself. This is not a thing. When we had a family potluck, is like the kids were controlling the collaborative efforts. We didn't even know. We just knew what we liked, and we knew what was best. And we said, we're having a family dinner. Oh, can Aunt Lana bring an apple pie? Oh, sure, she's great at that. Oh, can Aunt Betty bring the cornbread? Yes. And Mom, why don't you don't do cornbread. Just do the chili. And we had this collaborative where the efforts affords all parties to bring their best and let the others cover the rest. Super important. And you'd think that with the power that comes from collaboration, more would be done in our cities. You'd think that. But the problem is, and as I found, as I've worked in the South Bay for 10 years as a compassion pastor, 8 years before that as a college pastor, now 2 years as a bishop to the Bay Area, that we would see more of this happen. But the problem is we don't. Problem is we have collaboration costs something. It threatens systems. Collaboration displaces status quo, and it makes people uncomfortable because we've always done it this way. And there's a willingness factor that has to happen in order for collaboration to really take its root and to show itself in the brilliance that happens, kind of like what's happening in this room. There's 5 willingness factors that I want to give you. First one is this. A willingness. It's a willingness to extract, there it is, the willingness to extract the best of your system for the overall effort. This is super important because you have a system. Everybody plays in their own lane. But when you collaborate together, you have to be willing to take the best of what you have and pull it out of your system for the sake of the overall effort. It's painful because you've always done it this way. But our lanes are like this. This is how our lanes work. Well, that's not how our lanes work. So you have to be willing to do that. Super important. Second, a willingness to actively shoulder the burden and humbly share the praise. Nothing frustrates me more when one person or one entity celebrates and doesn't mention anybody else. That's just wrong. Like, if I had a taser, that's what you'd taser someone for, right? You do that in Ripon? Is that what you guys do? You taser people? Shoulder the burden, meaning, okay, all right, I'm gonna bear this with you, but then share the praise. Humbly share the praise. Third is to adjust your ways, systems, agendas, preferences, and schedules to make collaboration work. Your ways, systems, agendas, preferences, and schedules. This often kills collaborative work because we're going to have a meeting. Just trying to schedule a meeting for everybody is the first death nail in the coffin of collaboration. Oh, we're going to have it on Mondays. Oh, I can't do Mondays. No, you have to adjust your schedule, your ways, your preferences, your desires, your processes, your systems in light of the needs of the group. Super important. Fourth, willingness to commit to a cadence of accountability. See, if there's no accountability, it's just talk. If it's just an idea, but no one's holding anybody accountable for, hey, here's the next steps, here's the deliverables, here's what we need. If there's some sort of group agreement to a cadence of accountability so something can get done. Because you're out of your lane, you're out of your systems, you're out of the normal people you report to, now you're working collaboratively in a group. And you know, it's just easy to back out, or it's easy to just not deliver. And if you set up some sort of cadence of accountability moves collaboration from an idea to an action. It moves talk to substance. Fifth, a willingness to over-communicate, keep short accounts, and to be graciously humble towards all. A willingness to over-communicate, keep short accounts, and be graciously humble towards all. The problem with collaboration that we often find is that there's someone that offends me that I'm not used to, or that I'm stepping on this is what you're great at. And I just got to say, hey, this isn't working for me, or help me understand this. And just to communicate with other people and be humble. Assume the best in people. This has saved us so many times. Just be graciously humble. One of my favorite collaborative stories in the Bay Area, and this is when we first stumbled on the power of working collaboratively together. We were at a church, I was at a church, and we said, hey, we want to do an oil change for single moms and widows that need their oil changed. And I've seen a bunch of churches and groups do this. And we thought, this would be great. We'll serve them that way. And so we let people know, kind of put it out in the community, and we had set a date, it was down the road, and we were planning for this big oil change day. And where our church is located in San Jose, there's a car wash right next door. And the car wash found out about what we were doing. I'm friends with the manager of the car wash. And he said, hey, I heard you guys are doing an oil change. This is such a great idea. Can we wash their cars when you're done? I'm like, sure. What a great idea. Didn't know this, but he goes, and right next to the car wash is a Wheelworks. They got the bays where they lift up the cars. And he talked to the manager at Wheelworks, and the Wheelworks guys, they got together and they said, hey, we got an idea. Well, you guys do the oil change. Why don't you do them in the bays here at our business, and we'll do light tune-ups and different things there. Is that okay? Can we do that? Can we contribute that? Now, 2 businesses jumped in with the church. Can we do that? I'm like, sure. Right next to the Wheelworks is an O'Reilly Auto Parts. And so these 2 guys go talk to the guy at O'Reilly's and say, hey, listen, this is what we're doing. And I'm like, we're doing? You guys, they're taking over. This is what we're doing. And the guy at O'Reilly said, I'd love to be involved. Can we donate all the oil and different parts for the cars? You know what I said? Sure. Across the street is a AAA. They go talk to the AAA guy, and they waive all the fees for these single moms and widows, so they have AAA service from there on forward going for that year. Unbelievable. Back across the street, there's a nail salon. They go talk to the ladies at the nail salon. I don't know what you ladies do in those places, but you seem to like it. They go into the nail salon, and they get their hair done, their nails done, and whatever, all that stuff. And they talked to them, and they said, hey, while the ladies are waiting, can they go and hang out and get, all that stuff done? They said, sure. Right next to the nail salon is a C's Candy, where I found out they frequent quite often. They talk to the C's Candy and say, hey, when they leave, and these businesses, Starbucks got involved, business leaders got involved, the gas station got involved. And I'm like, I don't have anything for my people to do. But it became this unbelievable collaborative effort. And the thing that was most highlighted for me was not what we did to serve widows and single moms, but to see that the community wants to play ball. And the collaborative, organic efforts. These guys come to me and say, hey, when are we going to do that thing again? I said, go ahead and do it. You don't need me. When are we going to do that again? Because the collaborative efforts, something heroic happens when people begin to work together in harmony with one another and bring their best game to solve the city's most audacious issues. I have this quote: our cities cannot afford us to not work together. Our different ideologies, our voting records, are poor excuses for the lack of cooperation. And the differences and unique design is what brings the beauty and creativity so desperately needed in our communities. So I have a question for you guys, and I wanted to give it to you. I'm going to put it up here. It's just maybe turn to somebody at your table. It doesn't have to be a table discussion, but just turn to somebody at your table. Here's a question. It's this: what collaborative effort have you been part of that solved a unique issue? And with that second part, what adjustment did you make in order for collaboration to happen? So just go ahead and discuss that. And thank you guys for having me.
Summarize or encapsulize just some of the comments. I have nothing to say to you this morning other than what John said. And I'm confident that you are considering those questions and those thoughts. There's some incredible things happening in our city. We'll need to continue, again, we'll continue to work on not just collaborating, but coordinating efforts together. Somebody at Divas earlier in the week, he asked me, how are we progressing? How do you know you're progressing in Modesto when it comes to working together? And I said, there's a shift in conversation, there's a shift in attitude, and a shift in actions. Lone Rangers are not getting the kind of attention that they used to get. And so, I mean, that was right off the top of my head. I was pretty impressed with myself. I really was. You know how... Yeah, I know, yeah. So it was fantastic. I do want to say one thing. When he said that he was the bishop of the Bay, I want you all I'm the most majestic of Modesto. So I need you to, I was thinking, hey, that sounds kind of good. Oh, somebody else needs to come up with that name. I know. See, I always do that to myself. Let me mention to you just a couple things. Listen, you have a fantastic weeks. I need you to know, just like you, I run around, fill my calendar, hoping that you'll take some time to give yourself some breath, to breathe a little bit. I know some of us spend these seasons, these weeks, creating holiday for everybody else except for yourself or your family. So before or after this season, I hope that you'll take some rest and to breathe, and to savor other people. You know what I mean. You're just like me. You're a mess too. So make sure you please do that for yourselves. Just a couple of different things. Next month, we have the privilege of Leah Ashford, who is, she's trying to figure, she's not here yet. I mean, she was here and had to leave. Starting the new year right. We like to start it with January with just some coaching, and she's a life coach and just a professional when it comes to developing individual coaches and individual people as they map their life out and their future. So Leah will be with us, and she's rich in experience and wisdom, and she'll be with us next month at Catalyst. Just a couple of other things just that we have going on. We have this Catalyst, and then we have Catalyst Recovery Modesto, which is for mental health providers, social service providers. Scott Miller is somewhere. There he is over there, and Kevin Williams. They meet once a month at the end of the month, the last Thursday at lunch. And they are in another part of the building here in the church. And so I want to let you know, if you're something about that, that's Recovery Modesto. The women are meeting next week. They're in Spire, and they are at Familia Bistro, and that is at noon as well. And that is a time, yes? December's canceled. See, I probably should look at the slide. Yeah, I should look at the slide. It's January, and the women are taking the month off. But it is a time to connect, encourage, and inspire each other. And it's just been a great time. I've been spending some time with them and their planning teams. So those are some things that were going on. Are there any other slides up there, Jeff, that I need to be aware of? Yes, if you want to participate with us financially, boy, please do that. You know how to do that with us. And love to have you if you find any value in what we're up to. So let me thank God for you, and I'm going to be done. I want you just to enjoy each other. Master, thank you for the privilege you give us to participate in what you're doing. This shift in conversation and attitude, shift in actions that are occurring toward how to humble ourselves to work together, how to give each other the benefit of the doubt and to think the best of each other, and how to stay at the table long enough to work through our differences. And Lord, through this time, it's a crazy time, and even though it's a joyous time, the truth of it is there are many times that we don't stop to breathe and to savor each other. And so I pray that each one of us would just consider that thought. Thank you for what you're doing in us and among us. In Jesus' name, amen. Love you guys. Merry Christmas to you.